This is for Jolene Rogers, that on a legal end / personal end, you know that we never really knew each other before the injury. We had dated. I had my trip to Hawaii planned, and Tim Donovan had recommended that I invite you when the person that I was also dating, Tanya, was unwilling to go to Hawaii because she didn't want to fly on a plane. And out of resentment, I invited other people because it was already scheduled like 6 months in advance. And so I wasn't honest in that trip, and I wasn't honest with anybody because I was still binge drinking. And why a different narrative has been communicated since release from the hospital is a question that you've been refusing to answer. So not really knowing you, hoping for those years as I communicated and I learned about the writings and what was sent, that I told you I was back in 2019. And this was when realizing that peripheral cognition had been blocking everything, and the inability to make new visual memories was mixing up everything. And stability was really what I needed on a daily basis. And so I was compulsively trying to live routine, and being probably the egocentric guy that I've always been about the importance of routine. But I don't know you. So I hoped for those years and communicated for those years, and still had that brink of hope that this was coordinated by Roger, Lynn, and Tim with you unknowing of the entire situation. You beginning this on probation, and the concerns that all brings is what I had asked to talk about, because it seemed to make the most sense for the benefit of you, for me, both Tristan and Brea, your other child, and my other kids, Hannah, Gabe. Everyone's best benefit was to work together. And I was showing you that it clearly had been coordinated by Roger, Lynn, and Tim. And I began communicating to the public when Roger filed the petition to force the sale of the house. I began asking you for help then too, specifically about that. So the hope has remained that you've been tactically scared while impaired, because in first 3 years of getting sober from your substance addictions, I know by experience how much the mayhem of our mind increases at first. It's incredibly difficult when we start to have the sensory perception, all those senses in the memory that before we've been evading. Neurochemically, we've been evading things, and that's really what addiction comes down to. So to newly be experiencing the mayhem of the mind, that's vulnerability. And so that's the vulnerability that I refer to, that the possibility that your vulnerability was manipulated while on probation. The longer this goes with you supporting their agenda by falsely informing the court, by refusing to communicate on any level, and refusing to let Tristan communicate on any level, that more solidifies that you have been part of the agenda since the injury. So that's why we're at the point that we're at now, where I don't have memory of years of my life, Jolene, and you were living in my home, and all the documentation shows that other people were hiding my medical information from court proceedings in pursuit of the theft of that home, on top of insurance settlements and bank accounts that you had access to when you were at the house and the business was liquidated and all the equipment went missing from the barn. You were present, and you won't speak of any of it. So the false emergency report you made in 2020, when you were questioned specifically about some things through email and text, is why we're in the current situation we're in now at the court. And as I've shown you, I don't care if the judge has dismissed this. We're going to file every single angle back at every single person involved. And that's going to be publicly broadcast for this election season. I told you, Jolene, that I was back, but you don't know who I am. I don't know who you are. And I did not want this to be a mini civil war. But if you've been part of the agenda from the get-go of attacking me and my kids for theft of my home, then then you started this war, and I'm not going to be backing down.